DnD players of Reddit, what is the most creative character you've seen someone play as? I once kidnapped a player character wizard and replaced them with a high-level illusion created by the BBEG. The player then had to control the illusion from the perspective of the BBEG, pretending to still be a member of the party. It was surprisingly effective. Just as they reached the BBEG, they were slowly realizing he wasn't helping much anymore. I played as a Wemmick back in college and I loved that character. He was a druid and thus could only carry wooden weapons, so after thinking about it, I gave him a lance. And then proceeded to get every feat you could for a knight on horseback. Trample, charges, etc. I leveled like a monster class instead of a player class, aka, slow as balls, but man, it was a hella fun character. He could do some insane damage by the end of the game, and if he had to get into close combat, he could do rake bite for damage. My favorite part, though, were his two animal companions. The first was a weasel that took levels of thief, so it was our trap dismantler, and it eventually had vorpal front teeth, so it had a devastating bite attack. The second was, and I'm not kidding, a giant white blood cell. It had been magicked out of a giant and made even larger, and it rode around on my druid's back, as the group's healer. It would blob onto them and heal them with a few levels of cleric. Mind you, my druid was teamed up with the lizardman barbarian who was surprisingly smart, and the fey bard that would drink anything put in front of him, which is how he ended up as a half-elf woman of a different alignment by the end of the game. A camel. Not just any camel, but a racing camel named Rocket Boots. We had a party member who was inconsistent about showing up for the games, and he showed up in the middle of a short campaign we were running after we had retrieved a stolen racing camel. It's hard to say exactly what it was, but the guy went ham role playing this camel, making camel noises and doing camel things. It was absolutely hilarious. I played with a 100% randomly generated character. I had a decent combo of class and race, half-elf and ranger, but my stats were completely dysfunctional for a ranger. My worst stats by far were dex and wisdom. In fact, they were the worst in the group. I was the ranger that could do everything a ranger was not supposed to do, and nothing that a ranger was actually supposed to do. One of my friends also did this. We were playing a custom campaign with no magic, and his name was Milhouse Rodriguez. The only words he knew in the common tongue were "I am Sneak Boy" and "fuck you." He was a 6'10", 350 pounds rogue with no points in dex. He preferred to pick his enemies up and throw them. My current campaign is made entirely from characters who are new to DnD, myself included. So when building characters, my friend rolled mostly average stats with the exception of intelligence. So he has a -3 in that. So we basically determined that he's illiterate. During our campaign, he also referred to the DM as God as a joke, and he kept asking questions like, "Alright God, what do we do about _____?" So I made a joke that it looks like his character is actually communicating with God on a regular basis, but everyone around him just thinks he's insane, and will never believe him. He then got the personality trait, Divine Guidance, which allows him to have a helpful hint once per campaign session. So canonically, his character can communicate with God. But to everyone else he's just talking to himself as a result of his intellectual ineptitude. Jesus gives military advice +20. In plain English, a monk who fought everything by punching it repeatedly in the dick. Pathfinder monk with the maneuver master 8 type, who spam dirty trick maneuvers. The look on the DM was priceless when they read the rules. Dick punch monk, I trip the tiger. DM, okay, rolls yup, tiger is now prone. Dick punch monk, I elbow drop the tiger in his fear stick. DM, okay, so a regular unarmed strike. Dick punch monk, oh no. There are rules for that. DM, no there aren't. Dick punch monk, I beg to differ. DM, I guess you can punch the tiger in the dick. All the fights went from epic fantasy battles, to this monk pocket sanding, dick punching, and pantsing his way through every enemy. I've got a friend who is a weird character machine. Most recently is an orc named Sterogue who believes that weapons are a coward's weapon and beats people to death with his shields. Before that was Robert the Destroyer, a barbarian who threw ladders at people. There was $3.50 or tree fitty to his friends. A really creepy monk who could shoot vines out of his hands like Spider-Man. And of course Justin Chandler, a shaman who saved literally all his gold till level 7. Then used it to permanently enlarge and awaken his pet frog and deck it out with sweet gear. Edit, backed by popular demand. Credit for most of these to you/Ginger Syndrome. A few of mine as well. Violet Gamish, a 5e warlock who halfway through a random goblin encounter realized he was killing them for no reason and became a staunch defender of goblin rights. Harold the Great and Powerful was a bard who was absolutely useless but invested everything in bluff and insisted he was a high-level wizard. Also had a penchant for buying people's souls and then pushing them towards positions of power. The Bear Witch Project, aka Whip, or Bruce Berner, was a lycanthrope witch that spent most of his time in half-bear form. When asked what his gut feelings were on a topic, he responded with, "I have many feelings on guts." A player made a dwarf who was actually a human midget raised by dwarves. He was a barbarian and was modeled after Macho Man Randy Savage. He had a pet Wolverine which he would throw at people while screaming the fastball special. Then Wolverine didn't last too long. Randy throughout the campaign slowly went insane due to his fear of magic. Randy that began cutting off people's hands for no apparent reason. The legend of Macho Man ended when he attempted to suplex a dragon. As someone who once spent several hours making the closest thing to a one-to-one equivalent of Macho Man in 5e, this makes me very happy. Narcoleptic Bard. Currently in a campaign with this one. He doesn't do much, and has the tendency to fall asleep at the worst times. My current campaign has a monk who has a tendency to meditate through important battles, so I think I know the feeling. Remind me of a Dragon Age Origin campaign where the mage categorically refused to run, meaning he would often arrive 2 or 3 turns after the battle began. A wizard is never late, nor is he early, he arrives precisely when he means to. A few years ago on Reddit, I made the claim that DnD 3.5 gave you the ability to play literally anything you wanted, including a sentient goddamn wheelbarrow. I ended up statting up a race of intelligent wheelbarrows. This bit me in the ass when someone decided to play one in one of my games, but I had to put my money where my stupid mouth was and let them. Which, by the way, was awesome. I love how much more streamlined 5e is, but 3.5 had some badass shit like that. I mean, I know you can do that for other things. Hell, one of my players is a mummy and one is a shadow, but without rules. I just made up a race and gave them stats I thought up on the spot. Really. 3.5e was absolutely my favorite system for its sheer customizability. I never once touched a module, not that there's anything wrong with them, and could generally kit bash whatever I wanted, however insane that may be. And they actually gave you whole books dedicated to making custom content. Blessings from the random number god. Like, comment, and subscribe for endless natural 20s on all your adventures.